Hello, everybody. I want to go over a little project that we do every now and then, kind of titled Improving Your Art Through Improving Your Artist Statement. Um, what I want to focus on this is your art is extremely important. And what artists do is they create these things called artist statements. And I usually try to guide you through different ways you can kind of do that, where we might focus on vocabulary, we might focus on um, like a sequence of events, or something like that. But ultimately, we always kind of talk about things that go well on it, things that don't. And we also kind of talk about what we're trying to say in the piece, and that's ultimately, especially as you kind of progress through the different levels that we do in art. Like art, like drawing one, two, three, and four. And drawing four, you really start honing in on exactly what you intend through your piece, and you got to do that through your writing, not just through the artwork itself. But when somebody looks at a piece, there's a piece of writing that goes along with it that helps guide the viewer through your process, through mentally kind of what you were thinking. you know while a picture is worth 1,000 words, sometimes we need to write those words, for people to understand what we're doing, and this is universal. There's a lot of artists that do like autobiographies, and there's biographers out there that write about our work and stuff like that. Um, so this is supposed to help kind of improve on that, and try to make your stuff sound better, try to be a little more concise with it, make it sound like it's like a high school level or even like a college level if you're really good, um, kind of thing, and try to improve on that writing. Okay. And this is how we do it. We use something called Lexile. You might have heard of that before. A lot of times Lexiles are used to decide if a book is too advanced for a student. So if a student is in fifth grade, what are they reading at? Are they reading like at a third grade level or an eighth grade level, stuff like that? As a high school student like yourself, are you reading at a middle school level, or are you reading at the high school level, or are you reading at a college level? Kind of stuff, and how easy it is for you to absorb. So what we do for this little exercise is that we flip that. I want you to try to write at a high school level or try to write at a college level, kind of thing. So, and I'm going to teach you how to do that. Because Lexile, as you read this, it's based on two things: sentence length and word frequency. So sentence length is pretty self-explanatory. It's like how many words are in one sentence. As long as that sentence isn't like a run-on sentence where it's just like two sentences that should have a period in there, doesn't, and it just kind of extends on that. So it does kind of factor some of that stuff in. And read word frequency. That's something that might be a new term to you. Word frequency is how complex are the words that you're using, and the lower the frequency, which means the lower it's used, the higher the Lexile score would be. Now, this document is like 129 pages, because at the bottom of it, there is a list of low frequency words. So looking at this first, it's all alphabetical. Looking at this first, or not the first one, but the second word right here. I don't know why there's a B right there. Anyways, so it says adorn. So what does adorn mean? And then the synonyms on that are decorate. So decorate is probably a higher frequency word, while adorn is a lower frequency. We don't use adorn as much, to make more attractive by adding ornament, color, etc. So adorn, I would almost argue, is probably a good word to use when you describe your artwork, because if you're doing like a sculpture, especially, you might say that you are adorning, this piece of sculpture by adding yarn to the piece, or I'm adding beads to the design. So adorn would be an art term, that you could probably use that might help you achieve that higher writing level that this is supposed to kind of go towards. Okay. So those are the two things that you kind of focus on. So here's an example. So I pulled this off the internet, and it was titled Picasso Masterpiece was painted over an early portrait. It was the first paragraph written by the Associated Press, found in Nebraska, or found on NUSLA. Sorry, I said Nebraska. But what I did is I just copy and pasted this into this program, and it read at a 640 Lexile score. And down below is I kind of give you with those levels. So 640 is right here. So the article in NUSLA is written at a 4th to 5th grade reading level ish. Okay, there's a little bit of flexibility in this. And then on NUSLA, if you've used it before, you can adjust the Lexile score. So I'll read this real quick. The year 1901 was a big one for Pablo Picasso. The painter was just 19 years old and living in Paris. Picasso was trying to find his own style of painting. He painted furiously and was very, very poor. It wasn't strange for him to take one painting and paint over it when he had a new idea. So it's 59 words. And then that was 640. And this is 1,120 Lexile score. The year 1909 was a pivotal moment. That's a low frequency word for Pablo Picasso to experiment. Again, another kind of one of those lower frequency words, and find his own unique style. At just 19 years old, he was living in Paris, dirt poor, a little more descriptive, and painting furiously. It wasn't unusual for him to take one canvas versus a painting. Canvas is a low frequency word, and reuse it to paint a fresh versus a new idea. Okay, and if you notice this is the lower one is actually 59 words. It's actually more words, and this one's only 52 words. And this one, when I ran through it, this was at 100 or 1,120 Lexile score. So this is more at 11th to 12th grade reading level. That's on there. So that's kind of how it's kind of broken down. So it's about elongating your sentences and using words like adjectives, that aren't used as frequently, new versus fresh. Okay, here's the assignment. Copy and paste one of your existing artist statements in the space below. This should be one of your 5 or more sentence reflections, because it's easier to do this, if you have something like that. I mean, don't grab something that's only a sentence, okay? So I went to this one. So this was one that was done in the past, and I'm going to take the statement and I'm going to copy it. Again, you take one of yours. And honestly, it's okay if you even go back, if you've been an art student before and you want to go back to a different project, that might be a little bit of a longer writing that you might want to take with it. But I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste it in here. So I know which one that we're going to be reflecting on. Then it says, go to this website. So I'm going to click on that. It'll take me to this Lexile tool. You don't have to be worried about registering and signing in. They've kind of changed things. And I can just right click and I can paste this down. And there is a word limit of 250 words, of which I don't think we'll run into an issue. So then I'm going to analyze it. And this is 610 to 800 Lexile score. And we're going to take that number and we're going to write it down here. And we're going to say 610 to 800. Okay. And then what grade band are you kind of working on? So 600, 800, that's a 4th through 5th. Okay. Okay, next up. Improve your score by 1 grade band. And this is, and again, this is kind of a graded assignment. If you are already writing at a higher level, like 1,000 to 1,200 graded, you are awesome. Find a different letter or find a different writing that is lower. If you don't have any, talk to Mr. Butcher. He might give you a cookie because you were so amazing. Okay, so but you probably have something in there that is at that lower level. If not, yeah, I'm just going to give you the points. The way you improve, again, your complexity in your writing is make sure your sentences are longer and more descriptive, not just sentences, but the words are more complex. One painting versus one canvas. Rewrite your previous statement and just paste in green box. Improve your writing until you're at least 100 points higher than you were before. Okay, and that is when, like, I'm going to come here. So this is my writing, that student's writing, and then I want to take this and I want to see if I can improve it. So here's one way. First off, there's kind of some grammatical errors on here. This piece shows kindness, and I think first off, you don't begin a sentence with the word and. Okay. This piece shows kindness. I think that in a world like this, it is extremely important to show kindness, and then to throw a period in, and that to not only because that's just a run-on sentence. So I'm gonna take that out. I think I think that in a world like this, it's extremely important to show kindness, not only not only to friends and family, but to complete strangers. This scene was in a movie and Stitch, which actually should be capitalized because it's a name. The scene was in a movie and Stitch comes off as a disobedient character. Again, you have the word and. You can't do that. Period. Actually, I'm going to make this a longer sentence by saying and. You just can't have a period in there. This scene was in the movie and Stitch comes off as a disobedient character, and you see him do these random acts of kindness. Get rid of that word and I'm going to switch this because it says that. Well, what is that? I'm going to say this buff as a disobedient character, so we're referring to that. So this trait is what pulled me to this. This trait is what pulled me to this painting. This trait is what pulled me to do this painting. Good. So I'm going to take that, come back to the analyzer, and I'm going to edit text and delete all that. I'm going to paste. So again, we were 610 through 800, analyze, and now we're at 810 to 1,000. So I'm going to copy that writing because this is your evidence that you're doing it. So this is our new one. And this time it was, sorry, I have a bad memory, 810 to 1,000. And what grade band is that? So 810 is right here to 1,000. So it's actually between 6, 8, and 9, 10. So I had to actually write that. Six through 8 or 9 through 10, because it's kind of in between those numbers. Well, good. That actually works out really well because I only need to increase it by 1. On the low end of it, this was at 400. On the low end, well, I'm sorry, it was 4th grade, and now I'm writing at the low end of a sixth grade, or in the high end, if it was at an 800 because it has that range, 5th grade, and I took it all the way up to 10th. So within that writing, just by changing it a little bit and editing it, you made your stuff at a higher quality. Okay, that's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is if going through and editing it, because you're already kind of a decent writer, and it doesn't help, come down to this list. And what you want to do is you probably want to start going through, think about the piece you're talking about, and you can talk about its shapes and its colors. You can talk about the gradients. You can talk about a lot of stuff like that. And what you do is you start digging through here and you try to start finding synonyms, that or even our words that are in here that could actually help you make your piece with that lower frequency word thing even better. So I would just kind of start digging through here and find it, even like right here. Azure is a bright blue. So looking at the piece, you could even talk about how in the background I painted the clouds white, and I went from a dark blue to more of an azure blue, and it's using words that we don't typically use, but doesn't mean that those words are wrong. Okay, it's just that they feel weird because we don't use them. But that's how you build up your vocabulary. Okay, is by using words that typically we don't hear on a day-to-day basis, and how you can kind of keep building this up. Okay, so dig through the 129 pages, throughout here and see if you can use the word clammy as you might talk about something in your artwork, or calmly, or downcast, versus depressed, if you have a, kind of a sadder piece. Other than that, again, get this all done, share it back to me, and good luck on the project. Thanks.